All right, what's up, y'all? One of the questions I've been getting lately is to sit down and talk about my camera settings and how I go about filming my trips. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Gonna walk through exactly what I do, some of the gear I use, and how I go about filming my trip solo. First thing I want to talk about is I wear a hat on my trips. I don't like the straps. I don't like the little thing that clips on the bill of your hat because it puts weight on the hat, and the little strap thing gives me a headache. I also don't like the chest view because that's distracting. Anytime you're doing anything, it's in front of the camera, and it's a low viewpoint. So on top of your head, you get a better vantage and a better view. The other thing that happens is a lot of times if you're fishing, you're not facing what you're looking at, but your hat and your head are. So anything you're seeing with your eye, you're recording on your camera. That's important to me.
Oh, I thought there was one on that rock.
What I use to do that is an action hat, and all it is I bought it. It's $30. It's an insert. You can buy the hat if you want, but it goes in any hat that you have, and it's just a bracket that goes in the front, this little piece of foam that goes in the back, and two screws. You put it where you want it, and then you just can thumb screw your camera in, and you just go about fishing. The other product that I use, and I'm not affiliated with any of these brands, they're just things that I've used for a long time and I have trust in, is a GoPro. But I believe any action camera really will help you out and do what you want it to do. If you're just trying to do like what I do, which is just go fishing, simple, uncomplicated, action cameras are a true grab and go camera. For me, put it on my hat, I go fish, I don't change any of the factory settings, and I just record the day, and then I come home, do the same thing. I put it in my Adobe Premiere Elements, simple, basic editing program, and I just cut and put everything to piece it together in a long, 14, 12-minute video, whatever, without doing any color, any audio, any other editing of the footage, which is what I think sold me on the GoPro years ago, was that the audio, the video, the color, it's all pretty good out of the box. And for me, when I go, I don't want to have to deal with all this stuff later on. If it becomes a distraction and it takes away from the fishing, I'm just going to leave the camera at home. So that's what I've used. But like I said, any action camera is going to cover you. Just something to record the day, right? Okay, so let me talk about two of the issues with GoPro while we're here, because it's a good transition into talking about the problems you're going to have. Two of them you're going to have is they're basically weather dependent. Too cold, the batteries, they just won't last. They're lithium batteries. Lithium just doesn't perform well in cold weather, and then they get really hot in hot weather. So anything above 80 degrees, the battery's going to overheat, the camera's going to overheat, and it's going to constantly shut down on you. So what I've done, and I found that helps me out, is I just pull the battery anytime it overheats, and I put a fresh battery in, and that'll get me through a full day. Talked about the camera, talked about the hat. Let me talk about how I film my trips, exactly the settings I use, and they're all factory. Like I said, I don't like to do any manipulation of the camera. I don't want anything that if I have to change anything, it becomes complicated. So I film in 4K at 30 frames per second. It's a linear view, so you don't get any of the fisheye, and it's in horizon leveling. So even if your hat gets a little tilted or wonky, the footage still comes out pretty clear. And GoPro this is where I think they've done better than most other camera companies, is that the footage is crisp, it's sharp, the color is good, the audio is pretty good. Once they lost the housing from the Hero, I think like the 8 or something, the audio, it just went up exponentially. So for me, one camera, one hat, a bunch of batteries, some chargers, SD cards, and I'm going to show all this in the video. And I go fishing, and I don't even think about the camera at all, that's the selling point for me. Okay, so one of the issues you might have with a hat is every now and then the camera gets knocked out of focus, the orientation, you run into something, or you get something on the screen, a spider web, you're filming your fish. Like I take the hat off when I'm doing a release, and I hold it in one hand and the fish in the other, and sometimes the fish splashes. So you're gonna have to check the screen. That's one of the areas where if it's on your chest, that it excels, because you can just see what you're looking at, and you can check it constantly, and you don't lose footage. I've lost footage wearing a hat because every now and then you bushwhack through, branch knocks the camera at orientation, and you catch a good fish, but the camera is pointing straight up. So, but one of the great things about having the removable batteries is that I pull the battery, I check the camera, make sure everything's still going, make sure I'm not having any problems, check the settings, make sure those are still where I want them, and then I go out fishing. Some people like an external battery. I don't like that because you have to pull this housing. You open it up, and you put an adapter here, run it to an external battery. That opens your camera up to the elements. Fishing, I'm on a stream, I'm near water. electronics and cameras and water, they don't go well together. So I try to keep my camera sealed up. If I'm in the mountains somewhere, I don't want to spend a day driving back to replace the camera. That's a deal breaker for me. So anyway, so I've talked about settings, 4K, 30 frames per second, factory settings, color, audio, it's all great. Let's talk about batteries. I have 8 of these lithium batteries. They get me through a full day. If I'm trout fishing, they give me more than a full day because I'm not constantly running the camera. If I'm bass fishing, I leave the camera on because you really don't know where the fish are sometimes. Like every place looks fishy. For trout trips, there's a lot of in-between footage where it's like shallow riffles and you just know there's not going to be any fish there. Or if they are there, it's hit or miss. It's not really worth running the camera. But every now and then you pull up to a pool, a nice opening spot, and you're like, there's going to be fish. Turn the camera on. And what I do when I'm doing that is I do the quick capture because it powers the camera on and it powers the camera off. If you use the on and off button, turn the camera on, hit the shutter button, filming, hit the shutter button again, you stop filming, but the camera stays on and it drains battery. So for me, quick capture, turns the camera back off, and then you're saving battery. Okay. The other thing that I do, and I've gone back and forth on different SD cards, but these are the best ones I found. The SanDisk 256, they're extreme. I'll do a close-up of these so you can see them. But a 256 gig hard drive or micro SD card will get me through about 4 days of fishing. Probably only a day and a half if I'm bass fishing because I have to leave the camera running nonstop. And 4K at 30 frames per second is going to burn through a lot of footage. On a trout trip though, in the mountains, if I'm not filming all my camping stuff, and which is why I didn't do a lot this time because I only had so many of those. But you can film, you can go 4 or 5 days. I've gotten through almost 5 days of trout fishing because I'm turn the camera on, fish a hole, turn the camera off, walk a little bit. If I see something cool, hit the quick capture, and you're basically like being real judicious with your footage, and you can get through a ton of days on a 256 gig micro SD card if you're being careful with what you're filming and not just filming constantly for 8 to 10 hours a day. The batteries, same thing. 8 batteries will get you about 8 hours. They last about an hour a piece. But the other thing is I do when I'm on my trips, I didn't bring my inverter out. They're kind of, self-explanatory. You kind of need one if you're going to use I use a marine battery and an inverter, and I have 2 of these 4-bank battery chargers. These take about, if you run through all your batteries, you're going to spend 6 to 7 hours recharging them every night. So you got to, when you get back from your trip, you got to put them on the charger and let them charge. What else? Talked about camera, talked about batteries, talked about SD cards. I edit everything in Adobe Premiere Elements. It's just a basic. It was $100. I don't do anything fancy. Like I've said, for me, the whole point of this is to just make it as simple as possible. I just capture the footage, come home, I cut out all the stuff that's just filler, and I just basically piece it together. And when the GoPro records, it puts stuff in numerical order. So I just go through the footage, scrub through it, look and see, there's a fish, this is cool, this is a bear, this is an eagle, this is something, and I, cut all the pieces out I don't want, move those over to my external hard drives on my computer, and then I just go from piece to piece, and then basically it gives me a journal of the day from start to finish, 001, 002, 003, and then you put it all together and you have a video. It's super basic, super easy. It's all I want. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the only other thing I use is an octopus grip, and I'll show that. And it helps me do any type of B-roll that's not POV style, so anything that's not a hat of me seeing what I'm seeing and fishing. And I can hang it from trees. I can do it, standing up right now. I'm talking to the camera, and you can wrap it around things, and it's pretty easy. I carry it with me sometimes. I don't always take it on a stream with me or on the water with me, but I like it around camp because, like right now, I can grab it, I can talk, I can move around with it. The hat is great for fishing. See, take it off, do a release, take it off, show something. You can do a underwater shot, show something underwater. But you don't want to wear an octopus mount. So, but it's good around camp. Get you a lot of good B-roll. It was like $20 at Walmart, and it came with a GoPro mount anyway. So that's pretty much it. Try to put this video together for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it makes some sense. If you got any questions, drop those below. Pretty much done. Thanks for watching.